Let's jump to the story from the New York Post. Biden whines, Secret Service doesn't let me engage with crowds. I saw this and it's funny because I can't remember who tweeted it, but they were like, isn't it funny that as soon as Joe Biden drops out of the 2024 race, he just stopped pretending to be president?
Yeah, he's been on the beach for like weeks and weeks.
And he's not doing anything.
No,
he's
and you even had Kamala Harris going out there being like, me and Joe working around the clock and trying to get these hostages freed. Meanwhile, the hostages are getting murdered. Joe Biden's on a beach and she's, like
they had him
doing anything.
Speak before her at this rally in Pennsylvania. That's how irrelevant he is now. Mm-hmm. He is the sitting president and they don't give him any sort of dignity. They're just like, please stay over there.
Yeah.
Occasionally come out with some sort of stern finger shaking at Netanyahu and then go back, leave, go away.
How about his approval ratings have gone up and he hasn't worked for a month? I mean, do you see that? His approval ratings have gone up like 9 points.
For him. These are like sympathy approval ratings.
I can't believe
They're not real
it.
approval ratings.
No, I think that makes sense. His approval rating goes up. It has. It's gone up because they're like, thank heavens, Joe Biden is not doing.
He's not going to run again. But also, he's not the gas.
It's not working anymore.
There haven't been every time he spoke, even when he spoke at this most recent rally, he got all stumbly and everything else. When he doesn't speak, people forget that he's incompetent at being able to be president, and they like him more.
Infirm.
Yes.
Well, he's just a kindly old man. That's why he couldn't be held accountable for absconding with classified documents that he wasn't entitled to at the end of his vice presidential term.
I mean, to have an actual independent counsel say the president of the United States' brain doesn't work well enough for him to be charged with a crime.
Mm-hmm. But you guys have to keep him as your president.
But charge Trump, even though there's the Presidential Records Act, and he gets to decide what's classified and what's not at the end of his term, and what belongs to him and what doesn't.
The whole time.
What do you think Joe Biden's legacy is going to be? Because that's what I feel like his team is now pivoting into. That's just
all they care about.
They're just trying to wrap it up so that at the end, people are like, it wasn't that bad.
I think it's going to be that he was an accidental president like Jimmy Carter was, and COVID, this is my theory, COVID got him into office like Watergate got Jimmy Carter into office.
Interesting.
And people will look back at it and say, because if COVID doesn't happen, I think Trump would have smoked him in 2020.
But let's just hope that's true and the legacy of Biden is more like Carter and not Buchanan.
Well, yeah, good Lord. I hope that's a good historical reference for a Civil War nerd like me. But I think, given where we are, the state, breaking up West Virginia and everything else. But I think you look at, I think for Biden, Kamala's win would change his legacy tremendously. Because then he gave up power and passed to the next generation.
Those strong black women, the whole thing.
If she loses to Trump, then it's the Jimmy Carter, which is what I think is going to happen. But if he wins, he's like the bridge to the next generation.
They're going to make him a civil rights icon, and they're going to say he was the old white male who gave up power for a younger woman of color, signifying, all of these things.
I asked you guys, I'm curious, what happens if Kamala loses? Trump's going to be 80. Like, Trump is elderly, right? So, I mean, Trump's legacy is going to be substantial no matter what. Where does Kamala go if she loses this race?
Oh, she could get, university president position, something like that.
But, I mean, that's a tremendous drop-off, right? Because I don't know that she has a skill set that would suggest that she could do anything very well.
Well, that's why she needs to do a figurehead position. Yeah. And there's a lot of these figurehead university presidents. We see they're just swapping them in and out at like Columbia and Harvard. Like, it clearly just doesn't matter.
And if she were more charismatic, she would pivot to sort of what Hillary Clinton was doing for a while there. The I was wronged and I deserve something and it was taken from me, so I must rally and charge huge amounts of money for speaking fees, right? She would just kind of make money off of being this woman who Trump stole her rightful place in the White House. But she's not charming enough. She's not a good speaker. And so in some ways we have to, not me specifically, but someone has to shuffle her off into a position where we can like bring her out to wave at political rallies, but not to give us any advice.
You know what she really could do though? She could join up with Ella Emhoff and start attending those knitting clubs at bars on the Lower East Side in the back garden. And then she could do like little knit Kamala Harris dolls. And then those dolls could be featured in her niece's children's books. And they could just do like a whole new family undertaking of little stupid Thanks.
Maybe.
I do think her husband might get an intern pregnant if she were to win. So that's
Oh,
something
that
we
would
could
be
think about
kind
for a
of
new
amazing.
scandal.
I mean, that
new
would be-
scandal, right?
yeah, that would be
I said if I got to ask Kamala any questions, which I never will, I would love to say, you don't think Donald Trump has the character to be president. You've said that quite a lot. Yet you waited until you were 49 to get married and married a man who got his nanny pregnant to break up his first marriage.
Well, and
why
had
are you
two
the
kids,
judge of
and
character?
She never had any kids. And I wonder about that, actually, because she clearly had plenty of relationships. Why was this intent? Did she...
I think that goes to Kamala's insecurity.
You think so?
She's my theory, if I wanted to psychoanalyze her, she didn't get married till she was 49. She's an attractive woman. She was a lawyer. She passed the bar. She lived in California and was, in theory, a catch. Yet at 29 years old, she was sleeping with a married 60-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a normal 29-year-old thing to do, which is
That
why
is an insecure 29-year-old thing
Correct.
to do.
And
Someone
she-
who like doesn't have a father in her life, you know.
something's
she has no
going on
kids.
there.
She has no kids of her own. Yeah, there's Ella Emhoff and Ella Emhoff's brother, who we don't see that
We
much.
never know. We don't even know what his name
But
is.
Ella Emhoff has an Instagram, and she does weird stuff on it.
Well, and after when Kamala became the VP, she got signed to some modeling agency. I mean, Ella Emhoff is like
Yeah, she
the
did. She
poster
got-
child for like, do not send your kids to Brooklyn. Look at what happens to them.
She
was
got
like,
signed like that day. The head of that agency, I forget who it was, showed up at the inauguration, and then Ella Emhoff got signed.
But I think it is why Kamala is so insecure. Because I think if she were married for a long time and she had kids, that provides you a semblance of normalcy outside of an abnormal arena. And so I think it keeps you from getting so wrapped up in your head and concerned about what other people think about you because you actually have someone else who relies on you. Kamala's never had anyone in her entire life that has needed her for anything.
Should we make it a new constitutional amendment? You can't run for office unless you have children.
That would have kept James Buchanan out of it.
My first one would be you have to be under the age of 65 because I do think that age factors in. If you can't fly
I'd
in an
say 70.
airplane, 70 I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
But if you can't fly an airplane, I don't think you should be able to be president of the United States. But I do think that having kids is like being religious. It tells us something that there is something that matters more to you than power.
You can't
I
be
think that matters.
71 at the time of inauguration would be the rule. I think would be good.
If we gave 35 to 70, that's a 35-year window. But I mean, I think religion and kids, it one or the other, ideally both in many ways, shows
Religion?
that you matter, that something other than you matters.
Right.
You
What do you-
have
what do you-
supreme power.
What do you mean religion? Like in what way?
I mean that there is something larger,
Like believing
than
in
your-
God.
Yeah, believing in God of any type. I'm not saying like you have to be a particular religion, but just believing that there are moral consequences beyond
Right.
your own life. And kids are that, right? To many, like I care more about my kids than anything. I think if you're pursuing the biggest power of all time, that has a balancing act. I think.
I don't agree with that for a moral and philosophical reason. People believe a bunch of things, and I don't know. I wouldn't want to. I don't agree with that. I just whatever. But there's a better reason other than my personal feelings, which are irrelevant, and it's that they just lie. They'll be like, you got to believe in God. They'll be like, okay, I do. Here, let me swear on your Bible I don't believe in. So I think kids is a better metric.
Yeah.
You have to have a tie to the future.
But for someone who seems to have sacrificed everything for the pursuit of power and her professional career, Kamala does seem like a directionless person. Like, you started this by asking, where does she go from here? Like, if she loses, what's next for her?
Yeah.
And that's sort of fascinating because I think we all kind of agree, or at least I definitely feel like she is almost surprised she's in the position she's in at all. I mean, I think the fact that she was in a position to run for president was sort of surprising to her. She didn't really run a cohesive, intense campaign in 2020. It's sort of, she would put out these really liberal policies, but she didn't really gain the momentum as someone who's devoted their whole lives to rising to the top political office in America. And so to me, in addition to the family aspects, like, why didn't you prioritize having children? What happened there where marriage was sort of a last minute priority for you? what is she about? What are her directions? Because she's not even achieving a goal that seems to have been what her life would have been about. Did she even want to be here? What was Kamala Harris's purpose for all the things that she did up until now? Because you can't say anything about that.
Let me give you an example of that, I think. Kamala seems the most authentic version of herself when she talks about cooking.
Interesting.
And I mean, they're all different sorts of passions. Where I was making, like, I love history. And I love college football. I love the NFL. If you find someone's passion, we all seem to like Harry Potter. Like,
who doesn't?
You're not faking the way you react to something that you're passionate about.
Right.
And so when I've seen, to the extent that there is an authentic version of Kamala Harris, it's like, oh, I kind of buy in that she cares about spices, or that she cares about what her Thanksgiving dinner is going to be, or having people over and cooking, or breaking a freaking egg with one hand, which she seems really proud of. None of that for politics seems like actually it connects with her, which goes to the question of, did she just kind of end up doing what she did, and there wasn't some game plan to it? It's just she took the next step every time.
She's the Mr. Magoo of politics.
Yeah,
she's
she's
bumbling
the Mr.
around,
Magoo.
no idea. Like, she's politically blind, and she walks on the the steel beam and then gets lifted up to the 10th floor and is walking in circles. Has no idea what's going on. Don't want to be there.
I mean, she's sleeping with the 60-year-old married guy. He gets her, and evidently nobody can talk about this, he gets her 2 jobs that pay her $400,000. That's a ton of money, right? And that leads
Especially back then.
That leads to this job. And then she's like, oh, I'm okay at this as a DA or whatever. I'll continue to take the next step. The reason why I think Kamala losing is so fascinating is because I don't know what she cares about enough to want to do if she didn't have the job.
Celebrity
of president.
cooking show.
I mean, maybe so.
Yeah.
And by the way, what if she was incredibly likable on that? You might watch it and be like, hey, she seems like a really good person on
I
this.
got to be honest. If Kamala was sitting there and she was like, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to take the red peppers, I'd be okay with her laughing randomly for no reason. I'd be like, she's having a good time cutting those peppers.
Maybe instead
and
of
then you
doing,
watch her put the olive oil on it.
Yeah, maybe instead of doing like a feminist girl boss podcast, she should go on like Rachel Ray's cooking show. She needs to do a show with Martha Stewart and whip something up.
And
you
other
guys,
bubbly
this'll
wine
be-
moms.
Yeah, this will be her next act. This, if she loses, God willing, this will be her next act. It will be Kamala's cooking show.
But I actually, you
It
guys,
will be
you
on
have a,
Netflix.
Kamala's kitchen cooking.
I love it.
you have a
Love it.
kitchen in here. Like,
And you
I
know what?
could buy.
every episode. She would do a cuisine of a different nation and take on that accent.
By the way, this is going to be the next clip that they grab. It's going to be Clay Travis tells Kamala Harris to go back to the kitchen. This is what
I'll do it. I think that's an
think
acceptable
that's a
thing to say.
But I actually think she would really enjoy that job and be honest when she's talking about what her favorite recipe is. I don't think she has a foundational core. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
What does she really desperately care about?
Do you think at night she goes to Doug and she's like, I just want to quit, but I know I can't. He's like, you got to keep going. We could be in the White House. Like, maybe she doesn't want to do this.
I think on some level, like Al Gore, I don't think ever really liked being a politician, but he just wanted to make his dad happy.
Oh, is
and
that
so he
right?
kept doing
That was
it.
a dad thing.
Yeah, I think it came from his dad, who was a senator, and like it's just like kind of the direction that he went. And then when he lost, he seemed so much happier not being involved in politics
He got
at
to
all.
like make his stupid movies about lies about climate change.
But that was his
True passions.
But I mean,
Yeah.
but think about that. That was his passion.
Yeah,
Like
sure
he
was.
became. I mean, he's a Tennessee senator. It's not like people in my state are sitting around like, "Hey, no, we really care about the polar ice caps melting." But that desperately mattered to him. And I don't. What would Kamala do? I think cooking might be the answer.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe and we'll see you all there.